We are live.
Aloha snack bar, everyone. It's the one, the only Senor Silverback, the economic great ape, the geostrategic Magilla gorilla, joined by the master of the flux capacitor, the denizen of the airwaves, the X-Man on the turntables, CJ. And we're back for another Rogue Money Mornings with V and CJ. With that being said, you can follow us on Twitter at the Rogue Money, as well as our website, roguemoney.net, which you need to go check out because that's the place where it's going to be popping. And also, guys, follow us on Facebook and Steam It. We're on Steam It. If you're not on Steam It, you're nowhere, so you need to be on Steam It. That's our way of revolting. And if Gab gets his act together and finally gives us an invite, we'll be on Gab as well. Jeez Louise. Get it together, Gab. Anyway, with that being said, guys, check out our sponsors. If you're running for your life and you're thinking that the collections agencies and the mob hitmen that belong to the debt collectors are after you, and they're trying to ruin your life, well, you need to call myfreedomnow.us, myfreedomnow.us, where they can give you the credit score you deserve. Call them now. Let them hit the reset button on your financial records, or just give yourself a little tweak. Everybody needs a tweak every year or so. Just go through, have a professional eye look through your file, make sure everything is nice and kosher. That being said, TJ, what is the latest, my man?
Hey, good morning, V. Good morning.
Hey, man, you want to know something? I realized something, bro.
What's that?
How many sons does Saddam Hussein have? Like, we know about, you
Three?
died.
Oh, well, two of them were killed, right? Is there?
Yeah. I think there was a third son, and he dropped him off in South America. And it dawned on me this morning when I was waking up, and I was in the bathroom, and I do most of my reading in my bathroom. And I have my news feed on my phone. And lo and behold, the image of this gentleman popped into my screen. I'm like, holy crap. He is the spitting image of Saddam Hussein. Bro.
Wow.
Bro. Nicolas Maduro of Venezuela is Saddam Hussein's son.
Is that right?
Well, I don't know. I'm just saying. I mean, they look alike, especially when they wear the. I mean,
we come to think of it, I did see that picture. You're right.
I mean, he's got the mustache. He's got
the nose. The nose.
Yep. And I saw old black and white photos of a guy that looks just like Maduro marching in a San Francisco gay pride parade, holding another man's hand. That was my observation this morning, CJ. I don't know what to make of it.
Very interesting. I'll have to do some side-by-side photos.
Dude, I just did that on Google.
Uh-huh.
And if you just type in Nicolas Maduro, Saddam Hussein, it is hilarious. I'm telling you, it's the same guy. Either that, they have to be related in some way. You know? Oh my God! I mean, Maduro is such a wannabe, especially now that they can see consolidated more power in Venezuela. Venezuela is going into a total totalitarian, authoritarian regime. And I'm looking at side-by-side comparisons. Dude, I'm telling you, Maduro is Saddam's baby. I'm telling you, that's his son.
The nose. We'll have to start some research on that, V. We'll have to start some research on that. That could be validated.
That could be validated. I mean, there's a lot of Middle Easterners that will go to South America for escaping and this, that, and the other. It happens, bro. You never know.
It does.
You never know. But anyway, back to the interesting topics at hand. What is going on?
Yeah, sure. Just real quick for our listeners, in terms of the interview that we conducted yesterday with W, which was just amazing interview.
Bombastic, man.
Right, absolutely. So in terms of the audio feed, we had absolutely no control over that. They kept trying to get W off, and he was on by phone, so they couldn't figure out how to do that. So they finally just killed both of your guys' connections.
Yeah, they did. It was the weirdest thing in the world. And my internet connection is strong. I have like about close to 200 Mbps connection speeds. Okay, 200 Mbps. I ain't going nowhere. And all of a sudden, my audio just stops working. I mean, come on.
Right. But we did finish it. We did finish an interview, offline. It's been edited. I took out some of those parts where, his interruption. His signal was so weak, but we did get it reposted, and we'll be sharing that here later on today. So I'm excited about that.
Absolutely, man. I'm excited as well. It's going to be
And then
great.
also our Rogue Money contributors have been on fire too. There's some great
Mm.
articles they've been cranking out the last couple of days, V. So check out roguemoney.net. Some great articles. Battlefield Europe. There's
Yeah.
a great article by the Prince.
Yep. I was reading through that. There's one thing. See, the Prince just got back from Europe. I mean, the Prince was in Malmo, Sweden. He was in Rome, Italy. He was, just doing the things that the Prince does. And when he got back, okay, he was shocked. He talked to local Muslims there. He talked to the local natives in those countries, and he realized, my God, this is a serious problem. And he brought to attention a term called hijra. Hijra, or jihad by immigration, right? One of the things he said is this: the entire continent of Europe is being inundated with refugees at a rate unprecedented in world history. This is no longer just a refugee crisis. This is hijra. Hijra, or jihad by immigration, is, according to Islamic tradition, to immigrate in the cause of Aloha snack bar, or Allah. That is to move to a new land in order to bring Islam there. Hijra is considered in Islam to be a highly meritorious act, and whoever immigrates for the cause of Allah will find on earth many locations of abundance, says the Quran. The first Hijra migration is the journey of Muhammad and his followers from Mecca to Yathrib, later renamed by him to Medina in the year 622. It was after the Hijra that Muhammad, for the first time, became not just a preacher of religious ideas, but a political and military leader. This occasion started his new quote-unquote revelations, exhorting his followers to commit violence against unbelievers. Significantly, the Islamic calendar counts the Hijra, not Muhammad's birth or the occasion of his quote-unquote first revelation, as the beginning of Islam. This implies that Islam itself is not fully this implies that Islam is not fully itself without a political and military component. Is that amazing? So the Islamists believe Muhammad and Islam were not Islam until Muhammad went to Yathrib, conquered the city, took it over, renamed it Medina, and this was the first Hijra. So Muhammad and Islam was nothing until the first Hijra, and therefore the Hijra is so part of the whole global jihad that these Islamists are involved in. That's incredible. I never knew that, man.
I had heard that once before, but not detailed the way that the Prince did, and it just kind of validates some of the statements, some of the things that we're seeing firsthand. Be in terms of the, they want to call it a refugee crisis, but it's truly not.
Right.
And to read this firsthand experience validating some of the things that we've been discussing, the no-go zones, right? The amount of that they do not want to assimilate at all with any other mindset other than Sharia law and those things. So, but a great article. Again, just hats off to the Prince. It was an awesome article.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wonderful article. Also, Ken Shorgen has a great article up there. EU trying to poach UK banks and businesses following and invoking Article 50. I mean, think about how crazy that is. Okay, the EU, which is a sinking ship, is trying to convince every other vessel that has broken away from it, please come back on board. Come on, let us introduce you to the buffet tables. You're gonna love the swimming pool here. And everybody's like, wait a minute, you guys are the Titanic. You just hit an iceberg. You're taking on water. What do you mean we took on water? What do you mean we hit an iceberg? Everything is fine. Nothing's wrong here. It's unbelievable, CJ.
Unbelievable. And then they're quoting this statement around Juncker stating that, well, it's going to cost you $50 billion to broker a deal to leave the EU.
How
And
about we
then
just leave and you do nothing?
and,
I mean,
and
who
then
takes Junker seriously?
and then Juncker came out yesterday and threatened, the administration, stating that, well, if you support the Brexit, we're going to support Texas leaving the union. What a joke!
What a moron! What a clueless twit! He doesn't know how this works. He's so dumb. He doesn't realize that Texas wants Trump in power. What a moron! Again, this is what happens when all you do is sit in an ivory tower, far removed from the populace, and you're making these laws, and you're a bureaucrat. You never held a real job in your life. You never really, started a real business. You never really created anything. You just been a parasite, a political parasite, and a business neophyte your entire existence. And this is what happens. This is what happens. You have a bunch of academians, technocrat wannabes, who just sit around in an ivory tower, circle jerking each other, thinking they know how the world is laid out. It's a bunch of nonsense, CJ.
Yeah, nonsense, and these whole threats regarding banks leaving the Brits and going more to the EU. Their banking system's so broken anyway. V, you
Mm-hmm.
know, you want to talk about the massive debt that's accumulated. The Brits are better off to start again. They're better off to bring back their own currency and begin the long path to to getting their freedoms back. It's just amazing how much, since the EU has taken over, how much their economy has been negatively impacted by that.
Mm-hmm.
And so the EU leaders, what they're preaching about, V, and what they're trying to accomplish there, it's doing absolutely no good. I mean, the last Merkel, if you look at what's happening in Germany, and Merkel, and yeah, she may get reelected, it'll probably be a rigged election, what have you, but she's the last domino that's there. She's just waiting to fall, and that's going to trigger the rest of the dominoes to collapse the European Union. V.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And she's the last domino to fall. It's going to be done very soon. People are sick of her. I mean, you go back and you read Prince's articles. Most of the Europeans that he spoke to, they understand that this is not just a political mistake, what is occurring in the country, but this is a serious, serious problem. And it's much deeper than a political mistake. This is done on purpose. And that's the message that we're starting to get here, man.
Bingo.
Yeah, they're starting to realize this is part of a broader agenda, man.
There's only so much people can take. When they start giving up their sovereignty, they start having to reform their social aspects of what they wear, how they dress, where they can hang out on. Imagine if that happened in our backyards, V. What would we do?
Absolutely. Exactly. Forget about it, man. It's no, it's well, man, this kind of nonsense happens. This is why liberalism is so like extreme loony liberalism, not true classical liberalism, but loony liberalism is something that the state or the elitists love, because it makes you a self-hating twit. It makes you a pacified, guilt-filled, self-hating, emaciated twit. So you accept all of this as some sort of a, you become a political sadomasochist. You want pain and infliction on you, because not only do you feel like you deserve it, but it thrills you. And that's what the elites have done to these far left people. You look at the brain dead idiots in Europe. You look at the brain dead idiots in California. Right, and I'm not talking about the awake individuals who listen to this program or anything like that. I'm talking about, I got dear friends in Cali, guys like Bix and others. But I'm talking about the brain dead ones. Okay, that extreme. It is a political form of sadomasochism. They love being tortured. They love being enslaved. They love an ideal that doesn't exist. They love the fantasy of it. They enjoy the self-inflicted pain. That's what has happened. And that's what you need in order for this crap to succeed. And that's why I thank God for middle America, because as long as we got those red states out there, it is what is holding back this tide of insanity, CJ?
Absolutely, V. Absolutely. And we see it also. It's a shame to see it also in kind of like some of the alt media, that they're buying into the propaganda, taking everything at face value of what they're hearing from the MSM regarding the drums of war, that the South China Sea, that the war's around the corner. Do you want to break that down for us, V?
Yeah, man. I mean, you hear a lot of this. War. The stage is being set. The war between China and U.S. is going to happen. And what people need to understand is this. Okay. There are reports out there that there's the Asian Maritime Transparency Initiative, part of the DC's Center for Strategic International Relations. They write that work on Ferry Cross, Subi, and Mischief Reefs in the Spratly Islands include naval, air, and radar defensive facilities. There are many components that are seen to build up in the South China Seas as some sort of a militaristic offensive. You see, we're so stupid. We're so dumb. Let me just not say we're so dumb. The leaders that are in power in our country, those decision makers in the military, are so stupid. This is why we don't have quality guys like we used to. They think that a buildup in China's own backyard. I mean, look, the South China Seas, those islands that they're building on, those have territorially been there since 640. Okay, 640 BC. Those are China's waters. They've been there forever. China's only building on 6 to 8 islands. We got our panties in a bunch when China builds on 6 or 8 islands, but we say nothing when Vietnam builds on 29. We say nothing when the Philippines have like 15. We say nothing when Malaysia has like 20. We don't say nothing. China gets about 6. Oh my God! They think, anybody with a brain, anybody who understands what China's position is, number one, they're not an offensive power. They're defensive. They have no desire to project their power beyond their own backyard. Their navy, their military doctrine, like, oh my God, China's developing new aircraft carriers that are indigenously built, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you think they're going to float it all the way out into California to show off their power? No. China understands they are going to be a strong regional power in the Pacific, in the South China Seas in particular. That is going to be their backyard where they dominate. They're going to ensure that their trade routes are protected. They're going to ensure that the Strait of Malacca, which is the place where 90% of their energy resources flow from, okay, they got to go through the Strait of Malacca in order to get into those ports in China. They got to ensure the safety of that Strait of Malacca, which runs between Malaysia, Singapore, Indonesia, that area right there, okay, the Strait of Malacca. They got to make sure that those shipping lanes are open. They have to make sure that their energy goes undisturbed. And they understand that any small conflict within the Strait of Malacca is a strait that can quickly be shut down by the U.S. Navy. So what to do? Well, you get it alongside land agreements, hence the new Silk Road, and energy agreements, hence the Eurasian energy deals that are penned by Russia and China, where they're going to be running a lot of their energy through land that can be defended indigenously and easily and naturally by China. And then the waterways you have, what do you do? Well, you have these islands that's been sitting in your territory for a couple thousand years. Let's utilize them. And that's what China's utilizing. They're utilizing islands that have historically been there for them. They're building it up so they can protect it against the only aggressor on the planet, which is the United States freaking Navy. God forbid. That's what this whole thing is about. So everybody sees, oh my God, the United States is, they're deploying all this. They're looking at all this, and they're looking at this means. I mean, looking at an article here. I'm not even quote where this is from. This is an alt media site. It says, that means just as the joint drills with South Korea end, which incidentally, units from Delta Force and the Navy SEALs and Army Rangers are taking part in, Japan will shove off a warship aimed at waters claimed by China. In that timing seems a little curious. Also consider that the U.S. just deployed its terminal, high-altitude area defense THAAD missile system in South Korea, which both China and Russia cared none too much for, with China showing no signs of backing away from its stance in the South China Seas, which is not going to. Okay, it's historically their seas. Hence, it's called the South China Seas, both ideologically and physically. And with the corporate media willing to and eager to push the evil China narrative that the U.S. military appears hellbent on capitalizing on, it appears the long derided collision course with China may indeed be not all far on the horizon. Now, these idiots are going to sable rattle all they want. China has all the time in the world. They hold all the cards. They could end it overnight. Collapse the U.S. treasuries, and it's done. It's absolutely game over at that point. And the THAAD missile system is a joke. It is a failure. Okay, look, I just described, I think it was the day before, okay, CJ, the British naval version of a THAAD, which is, I forgot the name of that one, right? But it's similar.
Right.
Okay, it has a 15-mile range. It only goes 2,000 miles an hour. Versus what Russia had, just came out with their Zircon missile, has a 500-mile range, and it flies at speeds of 5,000 miles an hour. You think the Russians and Chinese care about the stupid THAAD, which is a failure that got rubber stamped into production? Again, another U.S. military equipment that doesn't work. We're so good. We're so this is what Exceptional Stand puts out. Unreal, man. Anyway, moving onwards. I heard Mikey Flynn is going to squeal. He wants immunity, a la Hillary Clinton and her cohorts.
Yeah, here's a crazy thing. When this was being reported, obviously when everyone's thinking, oh, he's gonna tell all about Trump and Russia and everything. But Flynn has a story to tell.
Of course,
but it's not going to be exactly the story that they're going to find a convenient truth be. When he starts sharing about his time under, let's remember, Flynn was a Democrat and he served under Obama, and he has a huge story to tell about what exactly happened in the Middle East in regards to Syria.
Yep. Nope. Exactly. He doesn't want to tell and spill his guts on what he observed during Benghazi. He's not going to spill, the best thing that could happen, or let's just say this, CJ, the worst thing that could happen for these establishment elitists is to have Michael Flynn speak on immunity. And I bet that these people are so stupid, they think, we're going to let Flynn, he's going to speak on immunity, and he's going to tell us all about the Russian connections. We're going to hear all about how Donald Trump spent a couple of weeks with Putin in a Moscow dacha, where they were soaking up some heat in one of those Moscow dachas, sipping tea and plotting on taking over the United States. We might even hear about Trump's lucid adventures with a bevy of Russian models on a yacht alongside Putin. We're going to hear all about the Russian salad dressing that he used to eat salad. We're going to hear about all the vodka he drank, imported from Russia, with a handwritten note saying, "I love you," from Vladimir Putin. I mean, come on now. I can't wait for this, bro. It's the best thing that could happen.
Again, based off reports that are coming out, there's some conflict here in regards to, did Flynn actually truly ask for, immunity from prosecution? His attorney are stating that the letter that they submitted with his offer to testify did not explicitly ask for that. They stated that, hey, he's willing to testify. Now, here's the thing. I believe, if I'm reading this correctly, that they turned that down, right away, because I don't think they want him to testify. I don't think they want him there under any type of immunity from prosecution to state exactly, why he was released, because he has a story to tell. And once they open that up, it's gonna come back to haunt them. So again, I was watching some of the hearings yesterday in regards to the alleged hacking, everything, and they're just completely painting the narrative for to bringing in the election system into federal control, into basically paint the narrative that Russia is the enemy, kind of like what they're doing with China, kind of like what we're seeing with China in the news. They're trying to paint this narrative because they understand that Russia and China have already built systems with complete workarounds from the international monetary programs, the SWIFT systems. All these things are already, it's too late. They've already built all those systems, and they can flip the switch and overnight be completely out of the dollar regime, the fake currency that we use in the United States.
Absolutely.
And so again, for Flynn to go up there could be very damaging, to them and to the State Department, to the deep state.
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt, man. And it's again, it's you let Flynn testify. You let Flynn open his mouth with or without immunity. I mean, Flynn is not afraid of these guys. Number one. Number two, you don't become an intelligence director and being stupid. Everything that Flynn does is measured. It's calculated. Okay. And I'm telling you right now, if you think that Flynn has quietly been sitting on the sidelines and he's disappeared to the obscurity of public life, you could never be more wrong. Flynn has always been involved as an advisor, even when he stepped down. Okay, he's always been an advisor with the Trump agency. That is what a lot of good word is saying. Okay, he's still in the shadows. For him to step in and start talking about this, oh man, it's game over. It's going to be huge.
Right. Yep.
Anyway.
Absolutely.
First signs of Trump's foreign policy, man. Tillerson delivers a message.
Yeah. So Tillerson was in Turkey. Basically, it looks like the U.S., our country has basically just went ahead and said, listen, Assad's fate is in the Syrian people's hands. So it looks like we finally have turned a new leaf in regards to that we need Assad out. It looks like that's happened. However, there is some concerns in regards to this safe zone, this safe space area that they're wanting to create for the Kurds in that northeast portion of Syria. So again, it would be nice to see him state this with in partnership with Russia, with Syria, to come up with these. They've already mapped out the future of what Syria is going to look like. So I only hope, V, that those discussions, they can't openly just come out and state it. If Tillerson were to come out along with the Russian spokesperson and say this in unison with them, it would be game over for the administration. I mean, it's just, they have made it so toxic right now for any type of discussions to happen with Russia. So we're starting to see some signs, some early signs of what's happening there. And we can only hope that there's back channels that are happening that obviously they can't report to us, V.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that is the correct thing. The fate of Bashar Assad, Syria needs to govern its own thing, and Raqqa, let it be controlled by local forces. And hint, hint, nudge, nudge. That's going to be forces that are going to be non-deep state affiliated. Okay, look, it's looking kind of crazy here because we're seeing some maneuverings that are happening. People are like, "Oh, what the hell's going on? Are we, is Trump in control?" Yeah, he is. We're weeding out, deep state assets that are at play. So that's why right now our foreign policy, especially in the Middle East, looks schizophrenic. It looks schizophrenic because there are some deep state holdouts that are being dealt with. Okay, and once that's dealt with, we're going to refocus on the Asia Pacific and go get those things in order as well, because there's some saber rattling going there, with exercises and plans that have been written months in advance before Trump has even gotten into office for those things to go through. So anyway, this is what we're facing, and it's funny also, man, that there was supposedly a huge high-level terrorist meeting that was occurring in Syria, and this was a Saudi. This was backed by these are terrorist leaders that are backed and fully funded by the largest financier of terror in the Middle East, which is Saudi Arabia, and they were going to meet. And what happened is that 5 pinpoint Russian airstrikes, okay, struck Duma City on Monday evening in an air raid over eastern Damascus, which targeted a meeting between high-ranking Jaish al-Islam commanders. So in other words, these high-level terrorists were decided, we're going to have a meeting, we're going to discuss what's going to happen. And Russia decided to interrupt the whole entire party and turn their meeting into a moon crater. That's nice. How you negotiate with terrorists, buddy. That's how you do it. Anyway, Mattis pushing. He has some involvement there in Yemen. What's the Mad Dog up to?
Well, there's been some reports in it, and obviously it reflects on what we're saying. But apparently, right now, John McCain has James Mattis's ear, and apparently the two talk on a daily basis. And again, this is basically going off of different reports. So Trump needs to reel that in a little bit, and get with Mattis, get with these warmongers, to determine, the next steps was going to happen. But if Mattis talking daily with McCain, that can't be a good thing.
Yeah, that can never be a good thing to be speaking with insane McCain. Let's see what Mad Dog does. Mad Dog's brilliant. Maybe he's playing McCain. Let's see what's going on here. Again, this whole thing with Mattis in Yemen and U.S. military involvement right now, is it a cleanup crew that's coming in to clean up the establishment mess here? What's going on? It looks a little schizophrenic. Time will tell. With that being said,
he needs
CJ,
some space. Yeah, he needs some space. So absolutely.
exactly. What's going on with the Ivy Leagues, man?
Well, this drove me nuts, and it's the only reason I put it in the deck for today, V, because this is just totally absurd.
Oh God, I'm gonna vomit. I just looked at this.
It is. There's a watchdog report, V, that has came out. It's a 40-age report that lists Ivy League schools took in $25 billion in federal contracts and grants from the years 2010 through 2015. Now, mind you, okay, that their undergrad student tuition for that same time period was less than $22 billion, meaning that basically the federal government could have basically funded every student to go through those Ivy League schools. Now, here's the real kicker, okay?
Oh, my God.
Here's the real kicker. These universities are also sitting on endowments that exceed $119 billion, which is the equivalent of nearly $2 million per undergraduate student. So I beg to ask, why the hell are we giving these Ivy League schools any type of funding?
I'm going to vomit. I just got nauseous. Dude, this is if anybody listening, if you want a great business that is a cash cow where you can make a lot of money, open your own college. I'm serious. I'm in the wrong line of work here. I mean, this is disgusting, man.
Well, disgusting. And then if you think of the people that go through those school systems, right? Think of some of the jobs that they land in, and whether deserved or not, the reputation of those Ivy League schools. It's not like they don't have the roster. They don't have the alumni to pay for donations and everything. So why does the federal government need to be propping up these Ivy League schools? Just absolutely absurd, V.
It needs to end, and this has got to stop. This has got to stop, man. Wow. Unreal. $25 billion in taxpayer funds. $22 billion in. This is disgusting. Screw these guys. Time to cut. It's got to stop, man. This gravy train's got to go.
Yeah, they don't, and then they have the assets, they have the foundations, but anyway, that was kind of my.
That's not even counting all the profits they get off their stupid sports programs and their football teams and this, that, and the other.
For anything? No, nothing.
Oh,
just
stupid. Stupid. Hey, oh my God. Anyway, before I go on another tirade, that covers it for today, folks. CJ, give out your shout outs, man. Let's get in. We'll get.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure to check out the great articles on roguemoney.net. Our contributors are putting out some amazing articles there. Also, want to wish, I think his last name was Larimer, Dan Larimer, one of the founders of Steam It. I read this morning that he's parting ways and moving on to bigger and better projects. And Dan is a true libertarian. He is constantly looking for technologies and everything to help in the fight against corporate America, working to build systems, and Steam It is one of those platforms. So Dan, want to wish you the best. Appreciate you putting Steam It out there. It's just important for us when we're fighting against some of the things that we observed yesterday, V.
Yeah.
And then also excited to share that this afternoon, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we do have Sean from SGT that will be joining us, and we're ready for an explosive interview with Sean. So make sure you tune back in at 4 o'clock.
Absolutely. With that being said, folks, we are over and out. Take it away, CJ.